This year feels different. I want to win the Premier League. We really want to win it. Let's do it. But remember, the most important thing is to keep working and stay humble. The words of Mo Salah rang out last night. I think it's really, really important that we do stay humble. We do remember where we are. We are a privileged position, but Liverpool march on another victory while others falter. Chelsea fell yesterday to Fulham. What a result for Fulham. And now old boy Harry Wilson doing us a favour once again, and Everton as well. You know they're doing us a solid as well. So it's turning out to be another really really good weekend for Liverpool. Liverpool won 3-1 against Leicester City, who aren't my most favourite team or fan base, but yes, it's another good. And to be fair, I was struggling to watch the game. The amount of fog, yes, last night was ridiculous in this country. But I'm glad that Spencer and West has joined me. We may be getting someone else coming in, but we'll see if they join and we can get their thoughts about last night's really impressive victory. Let's kind of start off with yourself, West. How are you, mate?
I'm good. I'm good. And you guys, I'm far much better. Been sick for the past 2 weeks. I'm a
Yeah.
bit better today. I'm good.
Good, good. And did you have a nice, good Christmas break? If you celebrate, that is.
Yes, I do. I do. Yeah, it was a relaxed one. I kind of enjoyed it. So yeah.
Good, good. And Spencer, how are you, mate? Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, whatever you did. You have a good one.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I celebrate Christmas here in the U.S. I'm with the in-laws, so any excuse to get away and chat about football, I'm more than happy to take it.
So I call my in-laws the outlaws. So yeah, they are a bit of a renegade bunch themselves. So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting one. It was a quiet one on Christmas Day, but then with my family yesterday. So that was nice. It was good. I'm glad that football's back, and yesterday was another monumental day for us. And we're going to get into it. Wesley's just stepped away, so it's just going to be me and you, Spencer, for now. We're gonna spend this whole hour just talking about Liverpool, the result yesterday, what it all meant as well, because it's starting to get a bit of a feel. There's lots of discussion now about, oh, records are there to be made. The discussion now also is around Christmas time and New Year's, the teams that are leaving at that point, and how often they go on to win the league. And unfortunately, sometimes we have a bit of a bad run with that. Yeah, so let's start off with yourself, Spencer, and the starting lineup. You know, let's kind of it's the usual suspects as such. Allison came back in. The back four was as he expected. The midfield was a bit of a shock for you in that midfield, not seeing Soboslai from the beginning, or were you happy with the choice of Gravenberch, who's just immense, McAllister, who's coming really into his own, and a really impressive Curtis Jones?
Yeah, I was a bit surprised, especially off the back of Soboslai's performance in the match prior. I
Yeah,
thought probably his best half, probably his best game for Liverpool against Spurs. So it was a surprise to see him on the bench, but they're all four. I mean, I would put Gravenberch at a level above the other three, but the other three are all in and around the same level, I think.
mm,
So, give or take, depending on how the form is for each player, any
yeah.
one of those three, any combination, two of the three, I don't really see an issue with it. So I was a bit surprised, but I didn't really take issue with it.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think there was a reason why we didn't select um Szoboszlai? Was it just to protect him because of that yellow card, or just giving him a rest? Because you'd think that actually he's still able to go ahead and do the business like he did against Spurs.
I would have to think it's to protect him on the yellow card,
Yeah,
which didn't really end up
didn't really
mattering.
play out. Yeah,
Yeah, but that's the only reason why I could really think, unless there could have been some tactical reason underlying that I didn't really pick up on.
yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really find it to be anything other than just squad rotation and probably just a good time to protect him with the yellow card.
Yeah, yeah, and West. I don't know if you've been catching up. I don't know if you're having some technical issues, but hopefully you can hear me. The question was around the midfield and the choices that Slot had made. I think there's one thing around this is Slot's been really, really good with keeping guys engaged, involved, in terms of his 14, 15, 16 players that he kind of relies on for the whole of the season. But that midfield, were you surprised that Szoboszlai didn't start? Curtis Jones came in essentially for him, and did it work? Do you think?
No, I wasn't surprised because, like, for me, one thing I noticed about Arne Slot here, like, I feel like certain games he plays certain midfielders. Like, for example, the City game, we needed a Soboslai who can press. You see, so now in the Leicester game, we need someone who can play passes around. So I wasn't surprised. Like, I think Slot he's done well with like rotating the midfield besides Gravenberg, but then like Soboslai for him not starting for me, I wasn't surprised. Like, it didn't even bother me much because I don't think we needed him personally because like I think we had the game under control. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I do agree. This horses for courses kind of motto is what we see, and I guess that's the kind of same thing, Spencer, with the front three, Cody, Nunes, and Salah. Salah's obviously never going to be dropped. Cody's really coming to his own, and again, kind of the similar situation what we're talking about with Soboslai. Diaz had an absolutely outstanding game against Spurs, but yet he was saved, he was dropped, put on the bench. Let's say, I don't know if there was the fallout with some issues with his dad, but that got kind of dismissed pretty quickly. There was a comment from a family member that kind of suggested that there wasn't actually a problem with Papa Diaz. So again, were you surprised with Diaz not playing, um, considering the performance that he put in against Spurs?
Yeah, definitely. As much surprised that he was on the bench as I was surprised that Nunez was starting. I think it's pretty clear until Jota gets back to fitness that Gakpo on the left, Salah on the right, and Luis Diaz down the middle is our strongest front three. Um, so yeah, any game that we don't come out and play those three, I'll be a little bit surprised. I, I gotta say, I mean, it did work. It didn't end up costing us having Nunez in there, although he was substituted out, and I wasn't particularly impressed with him during the match. But I don't know. This may just be like way too simplified of psychology, but is it a matter of this was a game that of any in the Premier League that we had one of the best chances to win all season? And so you give the players that are maybe 14th, 15th, 16th in the order rather than the normal 11, you give them a start. So it keeps their confidence up, it keeps them involved in the squad, and you don't see too much of a drop off against a team like Leicester. Could be the case. Or maybe, there's something going on behind the scenes that Nunez is picking it up in training, and he looks to be performing better in training than he is on the field.
Yeah,
I'm hoping it's not having to do with Luis Diaz's father, but if that was the case, then that would make total sense, and that makes sense. But I'm hoping that was not the case.
yeah. You got to give all your players opportunities. I know we talk about Chiesa, Elliott. Those two players that are coming back from injury. They could be well in starting lineups in the near future with the cup games that are coming up. We've got Champions League games against Lille coming up soon, and then um, Spurs, obviously in the EFL Cup as well. So there's going to be opportunities for the the fringe players to come in and start, getting involved in the club while we get into the latter stages of the season. But yeah, it's really interesting. We all talk about what actually happened, and the lineups. The first 5 minutes, guys, we were absolutely outstanding. Could have been one or two up already, before Leicester had the opportunity. It, I think, I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was Salah, wasn't it, that hit the post, and that then fell to Jones. Jones did a bit of a trick, but the goalkeeper actually did really well to get the ball away from his feet. Could West? Do you think at that point should Jones be a little bit sharper in that opportunity, because that's what kills games straight away? Is that early goal? Is that opportunity, right? Saying we're not messing around, lads. It stops any momentum that opposition could have, and we've seen that recently with Fulham and with Newcastle, taking leads. We should be quicker in that respect, right?
Yes, we should. I felt like Jones, the extra touch was necessary. I felt like Jones should have punished the keeper, should have shot straight and then like
Hmm.
killed off the momentum, then got us up. Because now I felt like the goal that Leicester scored, it just came out of nowhere. Like because we were so dominated. We were so dominating them. So now when that goal came, it was like, okay, where did it come from? But then like with Jones, I always had this issue with Jones where his decision making, too many touches in the box. Besides the goal, guys, like I felt like his actual 2 minute touches in the box were very poor. Like I remember there's a game against Chelsea, which he was supposed to score, and then we got given a penalty, and then it was ruled out. But then I still look at him like, yo, sometimes just shoot instead of you taking many touches inside the box. So now with Curtis Jones, I've always been critic about him about his decision making inside the final third. But then, yeah,
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I'm looking at the really, really good Opta stats that if you guys are ever interested, go on to the analyst.com, and they've got some absolutely outstanding stats that you can get from the game. I've narrowed it down, just looking at attack and the first, 11 minutes, let's even go back further, and you can see what's actually happening here. The key passes, the amount of touches that we had throughout that first half. I'm not sure what actually happened in that opportunity that Leicester got, but Spencer, I don't know what were your thoughts? Why did it actually occur? How have we been hit on the break on that transition? Something that Liverpool really, really failed for in that sense, where Leicester and other teams keep kind of coming at us. Is it just a little bit of bad fortune? And I think Arne Slot said after the game, didn't he? Definitely on Amazon Prime, about the ups and downs, about where teams score and or don't score in terms of their first attack of a game. But are we just on the wrong end of a little bit of good fortune that other teams are getting?
Yeah, I think probably, and especially with the Leicester opportunity, it was really the only serious chance they had
yeah,
all game. There's a reason why teams like look to get in transition. Bad teams will sit back and invite pressure to be able to hit back on the transition, and then good teams will also still try and invite pressure to hit on in transition, even when they're playing bad teams. Most times they don't actually fall for it, but there's a reason why transition is just such a valuable time. It's because the defense is running backwards, the offense is running forwards, and it's just a time when things, if they're going to bounce a funny way, they seem to always bounce in the way of the attacking team because they have the momentum within the action. With that one, off the top of my head, I think it was Mavididi that was on the left.
Mm,
He kind of bungled his way past Trent. Didn't It wasn't really like a clean like take on that he got past him. Played just a ball into the box and just on the ground. I think maybe there might have been even some miscommunication there with Gomez and Van Dyke. Neither one really took a stab at it. They both kind of watched it roll. I don't think they were really in a
yeah,
position to get to it. But then it fell to Ayu, and Robertson was a bit outmuscled, but then, put a block in. It went past him, and I think it came off of Gomez, I think.
Van Dijk,
It
Van
took the
Dijk's,
deflection at Van Dyke.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, yeah, 3 or 4 different things in there where it's, like, semi out of our control, and it all just kinda fell into place for Leicester and didn't at any other point throughout the game, because it was probably more of a fluke that they scored than anything. So, no, I don't think I'm trying to think of some other ones. I guess some of the Spurs goals were probably more on us than unlucky, but no, for this one in particular, it was, I thought, just a complete fluke. And I know the statistics bear it out in terms of like the expected goals that, yeah, they weren't a threat that game. They got kind of lucky to even have one.
yeah. And West, were there anyone? Is it more of a group failing rather than individual issues? Trent missed the tackle or the clearance, which would then left the Leicester player to essentially run at Gomez when that bit of a poor ball from the left winger came in. Was Robertson at fault? A little bit slow to react. Could have been cuter with how he defended once IU took that touch. And then last thing was the deflection. There's a few things in that really just went against Liverpool. But is there anything that you think we could do better, or should be doing better from now on?
Oh, I really don't know what we can do, but then like at this point, and I look at like I think Konate is missed at this team, to be honest. Konate is really missed because now I don't think the goals that we conceding, it's not like teams are getting onto us. It's just us being complacent. Robertson, I feel like the backline yesterday should have done better. Even though after the goal, they actually woke up and started playing well. But then I feel like to avoid these type of moments, like you just lose your head. Robertson, the defending of IU, I think maybe he should have done better, be stronger. Like Trent Alexander-Arnold also should have at least tried to close the Leicester wing. So now when I look at this at the backline, like I see now why Konate plays a big impact in our team. Because without him now we've been leaking goals. I heard a stat yesterday that we haven't kept clean sheets in the past 4 games. And for me that's questionable. And like Stott came into the league to bring control of defense and all of a sudden we're leaking goals. So it's one of the ones where like I look at the team, I look at the defense, and then I called it out. Like against the Spurs game where when you said the attack did well, but then the defense was a bit sluggish. Like I think they should have a talk about it, like Gomez, Van Dijk, Trent, and Robertson, because like for me, I'm it's raising question marks at this point. I'm a bit concerned now.
Yeah. I mean, I think the chat around Bradley and Kanate is that they won't be ready for this weekend against West Ham, but they could be
Mhm.
making the bench, or at least be involved in the conversation for the United game the week after. So they're not too far away from joining up in the team, and I think it's going to be massive positive again getting those type of players back, and especially if we can get Kanate back to his pre-injury form, Spencer, that would be absolutely massive. But we've okay analysed their goal, but regardless of whether they score one, Liverpool should be looking to win this game anyway. But as the first half went on, were you getting a little bit more worried? What was the actual issues? I was me personally, when I was watching the game, this kind of just reminded me of some of the poor performances that we had under Klopp, where we were just hitting cross after cross, needless kind of or just hopeful balls into the box, and Vestergaard, who's absolutely massive, was just eating it up. He was sitting back and having Christmas turkey, just loving it up with all the trimmings and the gravy and all that jazz, and he was just loving life. It was so easy for him. Were we just playing into Leicester's hands because they double teamed Salah quite a lot, and then Salah would then hit the ball to Trent, and maybe Trent needs to be a little bit more central, rather than just playing off and then hitting the cross. What was the actual issues? Were we just a bit too slow with the ball?
Yeah, I think that is probably the time where you would want Szoboszlai instead of Curtis Jones. He's got that bit of individual brilliance to be able to create things out of the middle. That Jones is like a tempo setter. He's like a really consistent passer. He's good when things are going well, but he's not going to create and improve. But he will
Mm.
maintain the quality that is on the pitch. Uh, I thought Trent was brilliant. Perhaps I'm conflating some of the chances later in the second
His cor-
half,
his corners were really could a lot to be desired. I thought in the first half
yeah,
anyway.
yeah, corners, but also from open play, playing
Mm,
out wide. But perhaps that was a situation that's what Leicester wanted. They afforded him time out on the right to hit balls
yeah,
in, and it's Darwin is he's bigger, but he's not really an aerial threat. And they were just letting us hit balls into the box, and like you said,
yeah,
Vestergaard was just sitting there, just playing hungry hippos, just cleaning everything
yeah,
up and hitting it away.
yeah.
But no, I was never particularly worried. There were a couple times where Gakpo went on a bit of a run, and Salah had the one where he had like that beautiful curler that hit the top of the bar and just kind of pinged
Mm,
off. I always figured we'd have the individual brilliance with the players on the pitch to get at least one and get back into a game state where they couldn't just sit back and play 10 behind the ball and just head it away. that did ultimately come. So yeah, maybe if we were still in that mode in the 75th minute, I'd be worried. But in the first
Yeah,
half, I never really was.
yeah, totally agree, totally agree. And I think, and the way I describe him, we can probably get into it in later on. But the way I describe Cody Gapco, something I'm trying to coin. I see him as the light. He's so positive now. Um, you give him the ball, he is really, really effective on the left-hand side. As much as Diaz has been so good this season, I think Diaz has certainly shown, and I think we've discussed, guys, before, haven't we, about the type of goals that Diaz scores, and that's kind of been proven with the performances against Spurs, the hat trick, some of the other kind of goals that he scored throughout the whole season. So there's definitely an opportunity there. But Cody Gabco, West, how impressive is he in showing the right attitude to keep on trying? And I don't talk about the goal yet, but I want to talk about his general play. The crossing that he put in for Salah in the first half. Those positive things that we're seeing from him is really, really good, right?
Like I'm kind of impressed with Gakpo. I'm really happy for him because like I felt sorry for him last season where he was scapegoated a bit by our fan base saying
Mm,
that he slows down the attack. But then now when you got a competent coach like Slot who likes to control the ball, control the game, Gakpo actually suits that style. So like with Gakpo, like I'm actually happy for him. I'm actually buzzing for him because like I felt sorry for him last season. I remember when they called him out saying that he slows our transition and like I thought
mm,
maybe Liverpool, you might as well cut their losses with Gakpo, but I don't see him improving. But then I think the Euros played a vital point in him. Because now I never seen Gakpo last season take those type of shots after the Euros. After Euros, he kept banging those type of goals, and then yesterday's goal, like we'll speak about it. But then like I'm kind of impressed with Cody Gakpo. And also Diaz, I want to brush off Diaz also because Diaz also started well. But then now you see that's a good thing of having competition, in the wing position. So
yeah.
I'm kind of loving.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the way that I think someone that I follow on X, or was it on another podcast, Spencer, the way that they described Cody Gapco was essentially a right-footed Iron Robin. Essentially, you know what he's going to be doing. He's going to come back. He's going to come back onto his right foot, and he will do it, but you can't stop it.
I thought I was slick. I was going to bring that up and thought that that was some unique point that I'd like observed. I'm like,
No, it's okay. You carry on,
he's
mate.
yeah, nah. I mean, if somebody else is saying it and other people see it, then good. It validates my thinking. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't understand why people don't like just stand him up and say like that's cool. Just you're going to the byline. I'm not letting you cut inside. Maybe they
Mm.
are, and he's just tricky enough to still cut it back inside. But yeah, no, he gets to his right foot when he wants, and he's incredibly dangerous when he gets there. And it's been a revelation. I personally I've done a 180 on him. I wasn't super high on him last year. Perhaps that might have been warranted. I don't know if we were seeing his best last year, but this year we certainly are. I think there was a stat that I saw. There's this metric called progressive receptions. It's like the recipient of a progressive pass. It's
Mm.
normally wingers are some of the biggest leaders of it in the world. It's basically where does the ball funnel to in transition or when playing it forward into the final third into that like stage of the game. Gakpo was, I want to say, like 50th or something in the Premier League last year in progressive receptions per 90. Like, not a very
Mm.
good number, especially for a winger. He's third this year, first on Liverpool, second only to two Manchester City wingers. Who that's just what Pep does. That's a system thing that has nothing to do with the player. But having that standing, it shows that how much of a focal point he has become for the way that we build up. It's a new role that he's playing under Slot, and I think it's a really good thing. It's brought out the best in him, and yeah, I like Luis Diaz. I think that there's always room for him. If you were to take him on the left over Gakpo, I get it, but as it currently stands, if we were to pick our best 11, I think it's not so much that also that Diaz I think can play in the middle just as well, but I think Gakpo is a current best option out on the left.
Mm, I agree. And with that goal, that brought up his 10th goal of the season. Four in the Premier League, two in the Champions League, four in the EFL. So it's not just a case of he's a one-trick pony. playing in one competition, getting all the goals there. He's spreading his goals, guys. He's doing really, really, really well in that respect, and he's got 4 assists. So he's tracking 14 goal assists so far this season, and we've just hit halfway point within the league. So there's lots and lots of more competition to get through. But yeah, let's like come back to that goal then. Let's stick with you, Spencer, about this one, and then West will talk about this goal as well. And that Iron Robin kind of analogy and that's the reason why I'm coming to you, Spencer, about it. What were your thoughts around it? One thing that I think is absolutely vital was the timing of that goal for us, because as the half went on, essentially that meant we were getting a little bit more panicky, and then come half an hour we're thinking, what's happening here? 50% in terms of possession, all the crosses, the corner routines. For whatever reason, we started adopting something that we did in pre-season, but that wasn't working. Trent couldn't get past his first man, so things were actually not working the way he should do. But how important was it that we got that goal, and the type of goal that we got? And it was essentially, the reason why I'm saying this is it's probably the first opportunity that we had allowed ourselves a quick transition. The goal kick to the goal was 14 seconds, so that's 4 players involved in that passing string. Allison to whoever it was, to McAllister to Gakpo, and then Gakpo with the goal. But how important is that we actually allowed ourselves to go in half time and say, right, we're back in, and you're done.
Yeah, no, incredibly important. I think if we'd have gone into half down 1-0, that would have been. I mean, obviously, like from a scoreline perspective, it's not as good as 1-1, but psychologically, I think the gap is a lot bigger than one goal would represent. It also came. I know it came off of. It was a quick transition, but if I recall, it was a couple minutes after Salah had that one where he had some space and just kind
Mm,
of pinged it off the crossbar, which was a bit of a letdown. It was close. You don't like. It's not an easy shot, but you kind of expect Salah to bury that, and the fact that he was
yeah,
close and just pinged it, it was a bit of a let off, and I kind of got the vibe that it was like, oh, like, well, that was our chance to make it 1-1 before half, like, and now it's passed. So the timing of it was particularly important on that. In terms of like the quality of the goal, I mean, it was brilliant to just cut in on your right foot, set yourself, and find the far corner past the diving keeper. That's the announcers here in the US were a bit dismissive of it, and they were like, for a player of his quality, that's like not the most difficult thing. But like, I disagree. That you don't see most players doing that consistently, and he has the ability to do that. I think even psychologically, it's good for the team because we are incredibly reliant on Salah's individual brilliance sometimes to get goals. To see somebody else have a moment of individual brilliance and know that we have other options to be able to create something out of nothing, I think it's probably really good, at least for me as a fan and an observer. I feel more confident in the squad in the event Salah hits a dry spell or, God forbid, gets an injury. But I think also for the team as well, knowing that we have that other option on the other side, it's probably really good psychologically, knowing that all parts of the attack can generate opportunities and can finish moments of brilliance. So yeah, I could keep talking for another 10 minutes on how much I love that goal, but yeah, no, it was exactly what we needed.
no, no, no. If you want to carry on, mate, we can do that. But I think Hassan has just joined. We're gonna see if he can join. But West, what were your thoughts about that goal? The importance just before half time as well.
With me, personally, like that goal was like I felt like that goal came at the right time because I always believe that if you score before the before the halftime whistle, it gives you momentum to go through in the second half. Like you start with the way we started the second half. So now I felt like if Liverpool don't score now, this game will be one of those games where against Crystal Palace last season where they scored first and then we ended up still losing 1-0. So
Mm,
now I was a bit concerned. And then when Gakpo scored, I was like, yeah, we're winning this game now. Because then second half, momentum changed. We went on and we started attacking. And we attacked them hard. And then we got our goal, courtesy of Curtis Jones. So with me, Gakpo is one of those players which this season he will turn up when he needs to turn up.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. If we think about the mentality, the psychology behind all this is from a Liverpool perspective is actually right. The momentum is definitely within ourselves. We're parallel, but actually it means like second goal. It's that it has that type of impact on Leicester, which is the negative. So from their point, they're probably thinking, right, okay, we can't get into this, 1-0 up and make it more difficult and sit back even further. Actually, right, we're already at a disadvantage as such, and it's just a massive opportunity for us to probably go on and win this game. It would make it a lot easier for ourselves. But I'm just glad that we've got Hassan. Hassan, how are you, brother? I'm glad that you're here. We were just discussing the importance of Cody Gapco, aka the right-footed Iron Robin, because he keeps going on to that right foot and he keeps on doing the same thing, but no one can stop him. And so what we were just asking was the importance of that goal, the psychology in that, just going into half time. But what were your thoughts? Hopefully you can hear me and just let us know what you think.
Yeah, sorry, I was a bit late. But I think Capco has proven that there were some doubts about him, and we were actively looking for left-sided player. Gordon was really there
Mm,
were strong rumors, and almost happened. Last season he was not really played to his strength on the left wing. Normally, he was tried at midfield, at
yeah,
false nine also. So I think now at Euros he showed his true capabilities and quality, and it was from there it was clear that his preferred position is on the left, and I'm really happy that he's got to show his true qualities. And he's a young player, but he looks like someone who takes responsibility. He was a really young captain at his club PSV, so it shows that he's someone who takes responsibility, and he's down to earth guy who is humble. So I think it's our recruitment has been really up to the mark. We bring in players who have really good characters, and he's one of them. And I'm really glad that he has made that position his own.
yeah, I totally agree. So we're coming into half time, guys, and Spencer, I'll just ask you just really quickly. We'll go through this really quickly because I don't think there's much to talk about, but it's something to ask anyway. Would you make any changes at half time, or do you trust the players that Slot has selected?
I would have brought on Jota for Darwin, but that was I would have wanted that from the jump, but it could have been like a fitness level
Yeah,
thing for Jota. But otherwise, no, I didn't see any reason to make any changes.
yeah, and West. I agree with you, Spencer, as well. By the way,
So with me, how's changes? I was gonna take out Jones for Soboslai.
yeah,
The only change I was
okay,
gonna make.
yeah. Cool. And Hassan, would you have made any changes?
Uh, for me, I think Soboslai should have been rested. I think at that time, Elliot should have come on because Sobo was on the brink of suspension, which the ref
Yeah.
gave him so early, and it was his first foul, and now he will be missing the West Ham game. I think we should have maybe bring on Elliot when he came on.
Mm,
Nunes, I think he started off second half well. He was linking up the play, and I think he was involved in the first goal. But I think it's a long season. Everyone has to pitch in, and everyone has to play their part. So I think everything. But I think Elliot should have come earlier.
yeah, I agree. Okay, so in terms of the the key periods within games, obviously a goal can happen. It takes a second to score a goal, but there's key periods as to you don't want to concede very early. You don't want to concede late in the first half, And again, the same kind of process happens again when you come into the second half. Spencer, Liverpool's scored very, very late into the first half. What's the one thing as a Leicester team that you don't want to happen is, and that's to concede a goal straight away after the kickoff, after the restart. Again, we talk about the momentum from that first goal that we scored. That second goal was hugely, hugely important because as the game possibly went on, and if we hadn't got that second goal, would that have actually made us a little bit more desperate? Or did it, it had the opposite effect, it actually just eased us into that second half, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely calmed us down into the second half. I've seen many Liverpool games where they're looking for that second goal and they're reaching into the late stages of the second half, and it's almost like the air starts to come out of Anfield. I've never been there to witness it myself, but it's palpable enough that you can see it and hear it on TV. But I think having it come in early was crucial. And also made Leicester open things up. It didn't really succeed. They didn't really open things up effectively, but it just meant that they couldn't just pack it in and stick 10 behind the ball and hope to get a point, because at that point they weren't getting any points. I would like to make a point before I forget about it. So there's this stat on Twitter, this account, I think it's called Mark R Stats, but he has this one that's called field tilt. It's effectively how dominant, like where the ball is, like relative to the halfway line and where the touches are. So a high field tilt, like a higher percentage, means that you're seeing the ball in possession, not just having the ball, but having it in dangerous areas or further up the pitch.
Yeah.
A couple of anchor points before I share what it was for the game, which was mostly driven by that early bit in the second half, and then the resulting how we were able to just dominate the second half after the goal. Against Spurs a couple days ago, we had a 57% field tilt, which is solid. Another reference point would be Newcastle's against Villa yesterday was 70%. So typically within the 55 to 70 range is what's like good to great. We were at a 92% field tilt, which is like the highest that I've seen since I've been following the account on that sort of a thing. So that second half, like that second goal, it just opened things up so much for us and made it so much easier. I don't think. I guess the goal did unlock that, but the overall performance in the second half, I don't think Liverpool fans really credit how dominant that was, at least from an analytical perspective.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's an absolutely brilliant stat, and I think it just shows and indicates what actually changed in that first half to the second half. And I think for the first half, as like what I was just talking about, that the older, panicky, uh, not using the football IQ the coaching, the management team were given to the guys there west. So where in the first half we were just hitting crosses and things weren't working. So there's two things that straight away I saw. The first one was we stopped crossing in the second half. It was more intricate play. Actually, let's drive the ball into the box rather than trying to hit and getting into Hungry Hippo's Vestergaard, his territory. Actually, he's not great on his feet, and if we play around him, there you go. We're going to get a second goal. We're going to get a third goal. Probably should have been more. And the second one was actually we took off Trent in terms of corners. So we persevered with the routine, didn't we? But in terms of the actual corner taker, we changed it over to McAllister, and McAllister was a lot more dangerous in those opportunities. But was there anything else that you noticed that we changed in that second half?
Nah, I completely agree with you. Like we changed, like we just stopped crossing because I felt like Vestergaard was actually enjoying himself with the crosses. I see him hitting the ball out. He actually had fun. Then the moment we started, like, okay, let's go attack them. Like let's
Yeah.
play around them. We went back to our way of playing football. The slots were back to basics. We ended up starting like getting more chances. And like for me, chances on those corners yesterday were a bit underwhelming. Like, like I don't know why we're doing the Arsenal way. Maybe you guys will tell me. But I felt like next time, can we please go back to basics and do what we used to do? Because I did not get the Arsenal way because I felt like it did not work in the first half. And not
Yeah.
neither in the second half it worked. I felt like they were just very poor corners today. Like
Mm.
yeah, that's how
Yeah, no, no.
how Southampton took it on.
Interestingly, I remember seeing a pre-season game where we played Arsenal and had a corner routine, and we actually used that routine before Arsenal, adopted it or used it, or and found some success with that type of routine. So it's really really interesting that the Arsenal routine is now being copied when actually we did it before. We were testing it out. Hassan, you would just agreeing then. The corner routines, I guess it's not a discussion point, but in terms of the tactical nuances that Arne Slot is actually showing again. He's seeing instead of he's taking basically what I'm trying to say is let me put my teeth back in. Arne Slot is big enough and got balls big enough that he will happily tell a senior management, a senior player, that you're not taking corners. I'm giving it to McAllister, and there you go. And he works for the team, and he's just showing that time and time again.
Yeah, I think Robo also said that the amount of tactical work and tactical play that Slot has brought in is amazing. I think I think it's good that we try new things with every game. We see new things, which is because with Klopp, as much as I love him, but it was always like our way or the highway. We'll place the same way. Uh, we'll break you down eventually, and it was like this. With Slot, I think we'll try one thing. It was crosses first, but Cody and Westergaard were having a good time. They were clearing it easily, so we changed it, played intricate passes, and I
Mhm.
think even with the corners with Trent, I'm more comfortable when it's Simicas taking it. I think Simicas has at corners. I think has more quality. He always find the big guys. And McAllister was putting better balls than him. Robo was all right, but Trent was always the first man because it
Yeah,
was maybe new. His technique was not spot on for this. He has so much quality. He can bring it back in the next. But I also saw that clip from preseason. I saw that preseason game, but I forgot that corner routine. But someone
yeah,
brought it on Twitter, so everybody was saying that Arsenal fans that we have copied them, but they have copied us and perfected it because Rice and Saka plays really nice balls, and
yeah,
everyone can see that they foul the keeper. I don't know why they always get don't get the call. But
mm,
the one thing which I said that I really like that we see new things even in the game. In one game, we see the new thing to come up and break down the opposition.
yeah. Well, Arsenal can have their parade about best corner routine in May, but let's see. But yeah, I mean, just talking about the crosses. So in the first half, we hit 35 crosses with a 20% success accuracy. That was in the first half, and then in the second half, we hit 15 crosses across the whole of the second half, and had a 33.3% crossing accuracy. Now, the change from the crosses to the from the first half to the second half actually also is reminiscent of the penalty area entries. So where in the first half we had 44 penalty area entries, and then in the second half, though it was less, what we were doing was seeing final third entries increase. We also had penalty area entries at a better rate as well. So it's really, really interesting some of the stats that you see. The through balls increased as well. So there's so many things. It seems to became a bit more intricate in our play in that second half, Spencer. You know, I guess that the offside goal. I'm assuming that he is offside. No one has told me differently. I've had a look at the laws. So law 11 for offside does kind of indicate that Nunes was offside for Cody Gakpo's second goal. But yeah, was there anything? It was just writing on the wall for Leicester at that point, right? So we were just knocking on the door, pounding on the door, and they were just going to be faltering. Was it a case of, from a Leicester perspective, protecting their goal difference, um, where they just shut up shop and closed up, protecting themselves that way, or did we just say, okay, we've done our job, that's all we need to do. If we get a third goal, we get a third goal, but if not, we're not too worried.
That's a good question. It might have been a goal difference thing. That might actually be a decider, more so this year than it would in other years, with how tight it seems that the relegation battle is
In
going
the
to be.
relegation, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good shot. I haven't, but that does play into how ambitious they would be in going for it when down 2-1.
Mm,
The Nunez one, to me, it did look offside. I did think he was offside, but also at least from the TV angles that we had in the US, you really couldn't see where the ball was, like when it was played. So I couldn't really tell if he
yeah,
was or not. But it's one of those situations. I don't think they have it instituted in the Premier League, but they do in the NFL, where it's like when you can't tell, just go with whatever it was on the field.
mm,
And it's just calling the field stands. We can't tell whatever the first ruling was. We're not going to get it wrong by changing it. If we're wrong, it's because we were wrong the first time. I feel like
yeah,
that might have been the psychology behind what it was, where it's like we really can't tell. We can't make a discernible decision on this. So it was called it's offside. Then it's the goal was called offside, right? Or
yeah.
I think it
That's
was.
right. Yeah,
I
it's
think so.
that's right.
No.
There was two goals. There were two goals because there was the Cody Gakpo goal that so we had Cody score in the first half, then we had Curtis Jones, and there was a massive review of that, wasn't there? There was different stages that we kept on
Mhm.
going, and that was a legitimate goal, so there was no problem with that. Then Cody scored again, and that's where the issue was, where um Nunes was ahead of the defender, even though Mo Salah was ahead of him.
Yeah,
That was offside, and
that
then
was ruled. Okay.
so that
Yeah.
was ruled offside, and then obviously Mo Salah's goal that we'll come on to very shortly.
Right. No, it was the Gakpo one that Nunez was offside, but barely. Where that was the one where it was that I was making the point about the refereeing psychology. But
Yeah,
I think it might. I don't know. Maybe Leicester might have also tried to go for it, but I'm not sure they have the quality really going forwards to do that. Patson Daka is probably the least inspiring center forward out of any of the teams in the Premier League. No offense to him, he's 1,000 times the center forward I am, but not compared to the 19 other starters in the Premier League. Mavedidi's a fine winger, but he would be like our fourth or fifth best
mm,
attacking option. I don't know if they had the horses to actually make a run at it when it was 2-1, especially not when it was 3-1. At that point, they definitely shut up shop. But yeah, I think that might have played into it, where it's like even if they thought maybe it would be beneficial from like a game theory, the amount, the chance that they could get something out of it versus not versus the goal difference. I don't even know if they had the players to like make a good run at it going forward. So we might have seen what their best effort was, but it just wasn't there because they're one of the 3 or 4 worst teams in the Premier League, and we are the best. That is the
yeah.
nature of games like this.
I remember Daka being really hot commodity as well when he first joined Leicester City, and I was a little bit gutted that we didn't land him because I thought he would be a decent player, but it just hasn't worked out for the guy. Obviously, spending a season in the Championship can do that to you. You don't find your rhythm, and then he's got Jamie Vardy, obviously a club legend for Leicester as well. But yeah, it was a bit of a strange one for them. But let's talk about the main man, the I'd say the best player in the Premier League right now, and there's a fair few that we could talk about in terms of Liverpool team. Konate pre-injury, Van Dijk. who has been absolutely outstanding, Ryan Gravenberch in the midfield, but the main man, West, and I'm pretty sure he's a lot of people's favourite. Not just of this current Liverpool team, but ever. There's far there's few players now that really excite me and excite the footballing world. But Mo Salah and that goal was just absolutely outstanding. It's something that you just expect him now these days to score.
What's the question?
I'd left it kind of open for yourself, West. How did that goal
Oh,
make you feel?
personally, I didn't know Salah had that in his locker, if I'm being honest. I thought Salah was the whip top corner. So I personally, after Nako went in, I thought he missed. Then he went in, I'm like, oh, okay. That's what Salah has now. But then, like, I think Salah is knocking in doors where now people can see now he's really turning. Like, he's knocking doors. Like, I think he's number one in the Premier League. I remember Arsenal fans tried to do the Saka thing on him.
Yeah,
I think he's miles. Salah is knocking on certain doors where he's going to lead to uncomfortable conversations. If Salah does well this season, I think we have to put him right up there. I think it is just the respect he's getting because I think it's only us who actually give him the respect. I don't think other people do. I don't think they just see him as like a GA merchant. But then, like, when we need him to turn up, he actually does. The third goal came in a perfect time. When he scored, I was just relaxing. I'm like, okay, now the game is gone. We won. There's no problem with Salah's day. So, like, for me, has been unbelievable this season. But then, yeah, we'll see next year.
yeah. So Salah is tracking so far 16 goals in 17 games, Hassan, and that's not even including the 11 assists that he's given us so far this season. He is the complete forward, and it's over years and years and years. We talk about, or it's been spoken about before about him being a one season wonder. He's been at this level for so many years now. Quite frankly, the best player in the league, possibly the best player in Europe. He's miles ahead of everyone in terms of goal assists, his contribution to the team. That goal was just a work of art again. The way that he used the defender and just bent it, he hit it quite hard. It wasn't just a kind of a slow treacle into the corner, but actually hit it pretty confidently and got it into the goal. And the chances that he had, Spencer, we spoke about, West, we spoke about in the first half, where one went over the bar, one hit the bar, and then that third opportunity, he scored it. Just a phenomenal player.
Yeah, I think you guys must have heard his interview when he said that he asked Arsene Wenger what does the great players have what other good players don't have. He said that they don't switch off in the game. They know that their chance will come, and I think he shows that even if he hits the post or he misses a chance, he's smiling because he knows that he'll get a chance and he will finish it off. As I think West said that he didn't think that he had this in his locker, but if you in the City game, the assist he provided Gapco was very similar because there were two three players marking him and he just whipped it towards the post and Gapco was coming in and he scored. I think this season he has taken it upon himself that he'll be the best player and he'll cross the Liverpool to the line. You guys have seen his new ritual as well. That after the game he takes a selfie with the goal scorer, all the goal scorers. He's always one of them. So it's a really nice tradition that I hope it continues till the end. So I think he's the if Virgil is the leader of the team, he's the organizer. I think attack. There's a Salah is the captain there, and he controls everything. He's phenomenal. When he came in, he had with his pace, he was blowing everyone off. With time and with age, he has changed his game. He's more physical now. No players can not take the ball off him. Now he provides so many assists because players they were always 2 or 3 were marking him because they knew that he'll run towards the goal and he'll try to score himself. Now he said he's like, okay, if I'm not scoring, I'll provide an assist.
Yeah.
So I think he's more complete player, and he's getting at this age. People say that players are regressing. He looks like he's improving.
Yeah, totally agree. So Spencer, I'm going to ask you thoughts about Mo Salah and that goal. Another thing is, there may be words or discussions, rumors, whatever you want to say, however you want to describe it, that Mo Salah seems to have lost that little bit of pace. Actually, what's actually happening is he's coming up against a defender, a young buck who may be a little bit quicker, who may be getting the ball, may be able to outmuscle him or do whatever. That's come 55, 60 minutes into a game. What's happening is Mo Salah's so fit, he's so on his game that he now sees you struggling. He sees because you've actually burnt yourself out, and he takes full advantage. And that's what we're seeing, regularly on these chats in highlight reels. Mo Salah's just there from minute 1 to minute 90. It kind of re-emphasizes what Hassan said about Arsene Wenger and that quality that you're looking for. But Mo's just Mo, and he's doing Mo things constantly.
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, 34 goals across all competitions, if I can do math correctly, which I hope I can. Vinicius Junior's Ballon d'Or season, 33. He's exceeded that before the end of the year. I like as a winger too. I don't like. He's the best player in the world right now. Even if he continues at half of this rate to the end of the season, he'll have been the best player in the world and should have won the Ballon d'Or. Liverpool winning a trophy will obviously go a long ways to that, but he's been the best individual player on the planet since the beginning of the season, and I don't even really think it's that debatable. But yeah, his fitness is insane for the age that he is. He does seem I do think like his top end sprint speed might have gone just a little bit, but the twitchiness that he shows, like when he stands a player up in the box and like left or right, or like that
Yeah,
first touch that he has, it's still there. That quick twitch is still there, which is usually something that goes before the long speed and like in
yeah,
athleticism. So no, that's still definitely there. I really don't think he's lost the edge. The last thing I'll say about him is I don't know if I need to just really cleanse my social media, but I was seeing Hazard versus Salah debates. Uh,
yeah,
and to me, it's like nostalgia is just like the most powerful drug in social media. You don't, they're not even comparable. They're different echelons of ability in terms of what they've meant to their clubs and the contributions that they've had and the peak levels that they've had. Hazard's peak, his peak season probably was as good as one of 4 or 5 Salah seasons, and all of the rest of Salah's have been better than Hazard. It's not even really comparable. It's just a nostalgia thing. To be honest, players that are perceived well always, it seems to me, age a lot better in their memory. I wonder what we're gonna think of Salah in 10 years. Like we're gonna be comparing him to like or is he going to be in the? I'm not going to say the not Messi Ronaldo territory. He's not there, but like, is he going to get like R9 or like next level
mm,
below that type of shouts? Like, oh, Salah was really that good when people sit back and digest and they see how much we miss him. They like really take in the numbers that he's put up year over year and how long he's done it for, especially at this age. I mean, I don't know, man. He's nostalgia. I think is really going to age him really well. And right now, we should just appreciate it. We're getting the best player on the planet that gets to play for us a couple times a week.
yeah.
We should cherish it.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think there'll be discussions about Saka over the point of his career and how well he works and achieves what he achieves when Mo moves on. Whenever that is, the next 4 or 5 years for Saka really will establish whether he's a good player or a great player. Let's see how it is. But what this all kind of discussion means and what actually happened yesterday was Liverpool opening up a bit more of a gap. So still with a game in hand on Chelsea. So we're 7 points ahead of Chelsea with that game in hand. Arsenal playing tonight. I think it's 0-0 currently. And what that means is with that game in hand, Liverpool are 8 points ahead of Arsenal. Obviously, that could change if Arsenal were to win. But that's just opening more and more points. It's opening up the dialogue of what Liverpool need to, sorry, what Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, whoever you want to talk about as prospective title contenders, is that they need Liverpool to be dropping serious points, serious games, 3, 4 matches they need to lose, draw, whatever you want it to be, a combination. Um, it's coming together pretty nicely, but let's see what it all means. Um, just before we close up, guys, is there any last thoughts before we shut up shop? Because I think it's been an absolutely brilliant show again tonight. No, cool. Okay. One thing I actually wanted to talk about was there's a quote that I wanted to end on, and this was Bill Shankly in the 1970s. And I'll read it out, and this is what he said. My idea was to build Liverpool into a bastion of invincibility. Napoleon had that idea, and he conquered the bloody world. And that's what I want, for Liverpool to be untouchable. My idea was to build Liverpool up and up and up until eventually everyone would have to submit and give in. I want to end on that. I want you to have a think about what that means and what is actually what we've seen here with this team. We're breaking teams. We're breaking teams on the pitch, off the pitch. We're breaking the minds of our title rivals, and they're faltering while we keep on going. A bastion of invincibility, guys. Have a good evening, and we'll speak soon. Good night.